In a world where the certain company keeps making weird decisions about giant robots that transform into vehicles, a certain YouTuber is trying to expose the masses of the bizarre things this company has done. This is his story.
Inappropriate things in Transformers, weird Japanese stuff, cannibalism in a franchise for kids, a fan-made joke that turned official, and a bizarre anime sequel to a beloved series that not a lot of people know about. Transformers overall is a pretty bizarre franchise, and it's been a while since I did one of these videos, so I decided that it was about time to return back to this in full force. And what better way to bring this series back than by talking about probably one of the most bizarre crossovers Transformers has had. I'm talking about the Star Wars crossover. And before you ask, yes, this was pre-Disney.
Rey Skywalker.
Nowadays, crossover isn't entirely strange to Transformers. As a franchise, Transformers has crossed over with plenty other properties, My Little Pony most prevalent, but Star Wars is one of those franchises that you wouldn't expect to have such a big crossover with. But the potential is there for something really cool. Today I'll be talking about the Star Wars / Transformers 2005 crossover toy line. And this is gonna be new information for a lot of you because I know for a fact a lot of you guys watching this video probably either don't remember, were too young, or if you're old enough like me, you probably remember, oh yeah, they did that, oh my god, I forgot all about that, which I did for the longest time. So let's begin with some context. In 2006, Hasbro launched the Star Wars Transformers toy line, later rebranded to crossovers. Strictly speaking, this is only a crossover in terms of physical design, with Star Wars vehicles turning into humanoid robots piloted by Star Wars characters. The story information in the bios and packaging blurbs only relate to the Star Wars universe, not Transformers. So this event overall is a what if the transforming technology was in the Star Wars universe. And don't worry, I'll get to some of the designs in a little bit. The toys from 2006 to 2008 all feature little pilot minifigures that sat in the toy's cockpit. Originally, this was done to make sure kids will not be confused and think that the giant robots were not piloted mecha but living robots like the Transformers. Starting with the crossovers rebranding in 2009, however, the pilot minifigures were dropped from the toys, and to carry over, all the toys were packed with pilot figures already in the cockpits. Hasbro also probably did this because in 2005 the Revenge of the Sith movie came out, so they wanted to capitalize on the hype and the popularity that Star Wars had at that moment, start a new toy line, which it's kinda smart when you think about it. Now, the Transformers crossover brand isn't like exactly something that's exclusive to Transformers characters. There's also characters from Marvel that also were crossover with, and I might make a video on some of those more wild crossovers later. But for now, we're just solely focusing on Star Wars. So as you can see by some of the images that are going on the screen right now, a lot of these figures are much less, hey, what if this Star Wars vehicle turned into a Transformer? And it's more like, how can we make these vehicles look as closely similar to some of these movie characters? Now, I'll admit, for some characters it does work. I think that the battle droids especially looks really well, and others look... yeah. Can you imagine in Attack of the Clones when the clones appear on Geonosis and suddenly this clone gunship turns into a robot that has the face of Master Yoda? Can you imagine how weird would that be? Hasbro apparently really didn't want people to get confused that these robots were actually living creatures as opposed to giant mechs being piloted by the respective pilot. For some reason, like, it's toys, and I'm pretty sure that in the Star Wars movies, neither Death Star can transform into Darth Vader. So why not go all 9 miles and like make all of these Star Wars ships their own little, unique design that's not related to any of the main characters, because some of these look very ugly. But this is not the case for all of them. Some of them, I'll argue, they actually look pretty good. Like, look at General Grievous over here. Like, I wouldn't mind having that as a Transformers toy, like the little wheel thing that he uses in episode 3. And the robot mode of that thing looks pretty good, like I can see the CIS building something like this during the Clone Wars. I mean, it'll be a massive waste of resources when there are better options out there, but hey, who cares? It's Star Wars. And if the last movie taught me anything, it's that logic doesn't matter in this universe anymore.
An assault team has landed on our hull.
Jam the speeders.
They aren't using speeders, sir. They're using space horses.
Really?
Now this is pod race! Oh, come on!
Apparently this toy line ended early in 2012. So this actually lasted for quite a long time. To give you guys an idea, that's just 1 year after the debut of Transformers Dark of the Moon. So this lasted for quite a long time, which is kind of astonishing, because by that point that's way past the Revenge of the Sith hype. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the prequel movies as much as the next guy and the memes are banging, but that's kind of a strange move. Usually Hasbro doesn't stick that long with a specific theme in a franchise. But even though the toyline ended, that wasn't the last we heard of it. There was a sequel toyline that you guys might have not known about. Takara Tomy developed a spiritual successor with Star Wars Transformers, creative title, featuring significantly more complex and expensive figures. This toyline began in 2018, and I couldn't find much information about it. Apparently there's only been 2 toys they made, and that's the TIE Advance X1, which not only does look more movie accurate, but it actually looks really good. Like, that Darth Vader head looks really well done. And a Millennium Falcon cast, of course, with much better coloring and a much better looking Millennium Falcon. Now these figures were all relatively small. They were all basically the size of a deluxe class figure. So if you still have one today, chances are they're not that much taller than your typical Studio Series Deluxe, Size Wipe, Dropkick, and so on. They're actually not that big, surprisingly enough, and the figures are even smaller. And before you ask me, yes, I did have some of these toys. I remember I had the TIE Bomber, and that one lasted me for a long time. I just love the shields that he had both sides of his arms. It was really cool. I got that for a Christmas gift. And I think I also had the Snow Speeder, the one that transformed into a wannabe Luke Skywalker, and I remember chewing the shit out of the lightsaber. Also, I'm pretty sure I ended up losing the minifigures because I have no memory of those minifigures. But anyways, I kept you long enough. We're gonna be taking a look at some of these figures, and I'll be giving you my sarcastic yet accurate thoughts on them. Is it me, or does this Vader look skinny? The one figure that actually looks kinda decent. My life is pain. After Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan really let himself go. The lack of balance is intentional. They just want you to put this guy out of his misery. Why do I hear boss music? This one actually looks really good, I'm not gonna lie. I have nothing sarcastic to say, this actually looks very good. Disney, you keep making bad decisions, but you have a solid gold mine with this idea. Just put this guy out of his misery, he can barely stand. Do it. Good luck trying to stand this guy. Also, I want to point out that besides these figures' ridiculously large chest and back, his crotch is the next biggest thing that stands out. How to make a toy for this toy line? Easy. Grab any random Star Wars toy, throw a random Star Wars character at it, and make him chunky. Very cool vehicle mode. I just wish the 2 robots weren't trying to imitate both Han and Chewie. Oh my god! Did this toy line predict that Snoke? Look at his face! Probably one of the better looking Transformers here, and that's not saying much. And people said Transformers nowadays are really lazy. I must have chewed on this guy so many times when I was a kid. Father, am I a real boy? This one's actually pretty okay, except for his massive And those are my thoughts on some of these figures. There's way more out there, and if you just look on Google, you'll be able to find them. And, yeah, some of these are not very good. Like, don't get me wrong, there's quite a few good ones here that actually genuinely do look pretty good. But I think this toy line will benefit more if it was less, vehicles turning into their drivers, or the closest thing, you know, to them. This one will work a whole lot better if we will get like a Death Star that transforms into a giant robot that's, you know, not Darth Vader. I think that will look way better, and it will also, you know, stop a lot of these designs from looking very humanoid. Like, a lot of people like to complain how in the Bayverse some Transformers look like insects, or like they look way too weird, but I think that design philosophy will work very nicely here for a lot of these crossover figures. Like, I would genuinely like to see the Slave One transform into something that doesn't look like Boba Fett. The novelty of having a Star Wars crossover with Transformers should be that we should get to see all of these iconic vehicles and how what they look like if they were to transform into, you know, actual robots. Instead, we just have, you know, vehicles transforming into popular Star Wars characters, because apparently that looks good. Honestly, I kinda look back fondly on this toy line, because, I mean, yeah, while it's not really good and some of these figures look damn right ugly, there's a certain charm to it. Like there's a certain, you know, coolness factor to seeing an X-Wing transform, to seeing the Death Star transform. And while the transformations themselves, again, I don't really like them, the vehicle modes look spot on. Like some of these are very well painted. Like Hasbro actually gave a crap, in most cases at least. And as for the sequel toy line, while I never really got my hands on any of those toys and I haven't seen many people review them, from what little I've seen, they look to be a step up, so there's potential in this concept. You just have to get rid of the whole look-alike characters, you know. Create your own characters, make them unique, stand out based on their vehicle mode, kind of like how a lot of the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen extra Autobots and Decepticons did. Those guys didn't appear in the movie, and instead of like trying to copy their G1 designs, most of them like try to have a unique looking robot mode based on the vehicle they were given. So something like that would work quite nicely. I just hope that Disney sees the potential in this, but knowing them and their terrible decisions, I kind of doubt it. And also Hasbro openly mentioned that they have no plans to continue doing Star Wars sequel trilogy products because, well, a lot of those toys weren't selling because, you know, the sequels are bad. So will we ever see something like this? Probably. Hasbro's doing a lot of crossovers lately. Ghostbuster, X-Men, Maverick. Oh my god, some of these are pretty random. But I had to do a Bizarre video for them too. Of course, I'll do that in 5 months, when I remember to continue this series. So yeah. But yeah guys, that's it for this video. Tune in next time where we'll cover the Transformers X Spider-Man crossover. Yes, it's an actual thing, and it's actual part of Transformers history. So suggest to me any concept, toys, or like thing that you think should be on this series. Because at the end of the day, if all of these videos are proving anything, it's that Transformers is just bizarre. So before I roll on to the Patreon shoutouts, you guys might know I have a Discord server. Well, we recently reached Discord level 3 because a lot of people boost the server. So I haven't given them a shoutout, which I said I was gonna do and I kind of forgot to do so. So I'm gonna take this chance to give everyone who basically boosted the server a shoutout. So first shoutout goes to #CrashYellow trademark, XNooter23 with the best cursed image I ever seen, Optimus Prime, I guess I said a Optimus Prime because there's multiple in the server, Ryzen, exclamation mark, and of course myself, because I, like a responsible YouTuber and owner, of course boosted my own server. So you know, if you guys want to shout out, all you gotta do is donate to our Patreon or even boost my Discord server and I'll get to you eventually. I'm probably missing a few people, not that I think about it, because I'm pretty sure a whole lot more also, you know, donated. Well, boosted the server. So if you're watching this and if I haven't mentioned you here, let me know. I just hope it doesn't take 5 months for me to give them a shout out again. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our amazing Patreon, TrueBlue712, Stitch Productions, Stephanie Ballard, Christopher Prime, Predator King Hunter Plays, Mario Gordon, allspark Studios, and huge shout out to the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, and to our even bigger big balls Patreon, XNooter23, who donated what I can only describe as a amount of money. I'll leave you guys to figure out how much. Thank you guys for your donation. It's extremely generous and extremely appreciated. It helps me keep the show going and feed Squeaker. Thank you guys for your support. I tip my fedora in gratitude and put on my Supreme Gentleman hats in your honor. Link to our Patreon and their channels will be in the description down below for you guys to check out. A lot of these guys actually do Transformers content, so it's worth checking them out, because most likely than not, if you like my content, then you're probably gonna like theirs too. And if you guys want to shout out yourselves, all you gotta do is donate to our Patreon. By donating to our Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You get a shout out in my videos, you can collab in some of my videos, you can request your own video topic, exclusive roles on my Discord server. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But keep in mind that it's entirely optional, because freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Anyways guys, thank you so much for donating, it's much appreciated, and if you guys want to donate, you know what to do. And I will see you guys on the next video. Stay safe guys.